Hey, good morning. Welcome in and welcome back, everyone. Let me know down below, are you feeling this energy shift? Because it feels like accelerated ascension and this search for spiritual truth. We have Mars ingressing into Sagittarius today, and it is going to immediately go into an opposition with Uranus retrograde at 0 degrees. And so this is huge. Sagittarius is the archetype of the archer. It's the truth seeker. It's philosophy. It's this assertive life force energy with this higher philosophy, this expansion, and this faith, all kind of working together to ignite a new passionate spark. And I do feel we're kind of leaving the period of tension behind as we restructure with this frequency of light that is lifting us from the scorpionic fixation into the exploration of this higher truth. If you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button down below. My name is Laura. I'm a twin flame coach, guide, channeler, and astrologer, and we are going to dig into these astrological aspects today, how they're going to affect the twin flame collective, and then we are going to go a little bit deeper with some oracle and some tarot messages. But I do feel this is the moment where the divine masculine breaks free from the inner and outer constraints. And so all of these outdated self-concepts, all of these limiting beliefs, they are coming to the surface to be dissolved. And I do feel there's this release of this emotional stagnancy. As you can see up on the screen, as long as my editing program is working, you're going to see the astrology up on the screen. We have Mars and Uranus in this opposition between the 10th and the 4th house. And so we have Mars in the 10th house, and we have Uranus in the fourth house. And so there's like a reawakening of passion connected to a home situation. There could be a breaking free of an outdated family structure for the divine masculine. But I do feel this is the moment where they get activated into the journey of spiritual sovereignty. This is really what it's feeling like for me. And so they're going to be motivated to pursue the truth rather than numbing it with all of that heavy water energy that we've been working with. And so they are shifting. It feels like a shift from avoidance into truth, from avoidance into action, and from all of that hesitation into some authentic movement. And so it feels fast, it feels furious. And I do feel this is where the masculine is being asked to reclaim their inner fire, their inner light. And for the feminine, I feel she's releasing all expectations of a timeline shift and surrendering to the divine orchestration. And so the feminine is here to embody the energy of the spiritual witness, is what this feels like, rather than the attachment to the outcome. And so I know a lot of the feminines I've been in contact with, they have been receiving massive intuitive downloads, and this is expanding the vision for the union and this connection. And so the feminine is moving from anticipation into the energy of surrendered knowing and anchoring in that frequency of faith. And so I feel this is really important because we see the 10th and the 4th house in an opposition between Scorpio and Taurus at 16 degree 59, the tower energy with the 5 of swords. And so this is the breakdown of the self-sabotaging behaviors. This is the breakdown of the false foundations. And I just feel this opposition is marking a 0 point, a reset, a quantum doorway is kind of opening up, but it's going to be a massive, massive shakeup. And so this awakening, this liberation energy, this disruption, it's going to break down all of the old outdated structures connected to that 4th house. And I do feel there's a revolution, there's a redirection here. And so we're going to have to really tap into the duality of the consciousness that's being activated, because Uranus in Gemini is the domain of communication. And I feel this energy can be quite volatile because we've got these electrified axes of Sagittarius and Gemini blending with Taurus and Scorpio. And so these psychic downloads are going to activate a sudden revelation. There's going to be a rapid shift in these old, outdated relationship structures. And there's going to be emotional surges where we're going to have to confront this truth. And we're going to have to release a long living, limiting narrative that has kept us in a karmic loop. And so we're kind of being pushed out of spiritual complacency. And so I feel the divine masculine moving towards truth, even if it feels very unstable, Courage is going to be his portal to alignment. And for the masculine, we have to trust the grand orchestration of the divine right now, because we're going through a massive portal of expansion and disillusion at the same time. And so we're kind of at the 0 point restart energy, and the old timelines are going to collapse. And so Uranus is going to go back into Taurus at that 29th degree. And it's going to give us all an opportunity to close out a 7-year cycle. Uranus takes about 7 to 8 years to go through a sign. And it's not every retrograde that a sign dips back into a previous zodiac archetype. And so this is the cleanup. This is the final collapse of the old 7-year cycle. And we're not going to want to regress, is a big message, okay? And so this integration is going to require openness. It's going to require intentions. It's going to require non-attachment, and we're going to have to ground in our spiritual practices. So with that being said, if you are curious about astrology, if you're new to astrology, please feel free to comment down below free guide, and I will send you a link to download the free guide to the basics of your birth chart. I've created a free guide. It's absolutely free. All you got to do is comment free guide, and I will send you the link to download that. I also want you to keep in mind, I have written a twin flame ebook. I believe it's a 22-page twin flame ebook, and it's absolutely free as well. So comment twin flame down below, and I will send you the link to download my twin flame ebook to kind of understand the stages and the phases and what twin flame is really all about, because it's not just about romance. It is about mission. It is about purpose. And I do have a brand new astrology membership that I've recently launched. We're going into month 2. We're going into lesson 3. We're going to learn about the personal planets, Venus, Mars, Mercury, how it affects us, our values, how we take action. And then the next lesson, we are going to dig into Saturn and Jupiter. So we're going to keep building upon this foundation month to month. And each month there's a live Q&A, and you can interact with me live if you have any questions about your birth chart or the lessons that we have gone through. So go check out the astrology membership. There will be a link below down in the comment section. I would love to have you join us over there in this soulful community. But let's dig in with some cards, and let's see what the cards have to say today. What I feel today is such a metaphysical nuance and a massive realignment in the energetic field for the Twin Flame Collective. So let's break it down, because the first card out was the Victory in reverse. Now, all of the Oracle cards flipped out in reverse, except for the bottom of the deck where the Patience card was upright, okay? And so this kind of feels a little bit like the Two of Wands in reversed archetypal energy. And I feel if there's been an anticipated outcome that has not been manifested in the current timeline, there's a release of an expectation here. It feels like a massive collapse, almost like a Six of Wands in reversed as well. And so there's a pushing when it comes to this consciousness reset. I feel this undertone of despair or discouragement. And I feel there's a personal recalibration here connected to the Divine Masculine, because it was right above the King of Coins card here. And so There's a course correction is what this feels like. And I do feel it's essential. It's not optional anymore. And so this feels like a karmic pivot point for the divine masculine, for him to kind of relinquish his ego-driven direction, right? There's a restructuring of intentions here and a reclaiming, I want to say, of divine will. And so there's a disillusion of a false victory, preparing the masculine for true alignment. And then we go right into the deceit card reversed. There's a Knight of Wands reversed archetypal synchronicity here with this card. Hidden agendas, manipulation, strategic concealment. All of this is coming to light. And if you notice, it kind of mirrors this Queen of Cups in reversed energy. And so there's a mask here that is being exposed, I feel, with a karmic feminine. It can be a mother, a sister, another lover. But I feel this deception with this feminine energy, it could be a Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio, doesn't have to be. But a prominent water sign here. This is no longer going to be viable, this deception. And so whether it's internal deception or an external karmic influence here, the masculine is going to have to confront where he compromised his emotional environment. And he's going to have to choose transparency over his survival tactics. And so there is, like I said, the mirroring of this Queen of Cups energy. So it does kind of point to emotional distortion and some type of karmic entanglement revealing itself, but it's definitely the unmasking of dishonesty coming through and liberation from a karmic dynamic. And then we go into the yin yang, once again in reversed. Master number 22, the Fool archetype in reversed. There's reckless energy here. There's a poor considered choice here that is now going to have to be accounted for. The masculine entered a cycle from a place of imbalance, from a place of ego impulses, or even from a place of avoidance. And there's yang energy dominating this entire field of energy here. So there's logic that's going to be required. Conscious decision making is required. So there is a karmic cycle nearing completion. And it is going to usher in a new beginning, but there's going to need to be corrective action taken. And so there's an initiation is what this feels like in order to go towards purposeful action. And that's going to be the only path forward. And it did fall out with a bonus card. Normally I only pull 3 and we got a 4th card, a bonus card. The rest and rejuvenation card in reverse, the Sun reversed. I feel the masculine's been in a state of stagnation, maybe dark night of the soul. He's been playing into passive coping mechanisms, maybe addictions, and these have kind of run their course. So this energetic stagnation is going to peak, it's going to fragment, and this rest that the masculine's been in is not going to be restorative anymore. This inertia is becoming a bit corrosive, I want to say. And so the masculine cannot spiritually bypass the truth. They can try all they want, but they can't, because the moment of clarity is here. And they're going to have to break up this energetic stagnation if they want to reclaim back their vitality. So it's like no more retreating. This life force activation is demanding resolution. And then the bottom of the deck, the Patience card, kind of feels a little bit like Temperance and a little bit like the Tower frequency, because it is a 16 card. And so divine timing is always going to orchestrate this collapse, is what this is telling me. These false structures are going to dissolve for this authentic alignment. And so patience here is not passivity though, okay, divine feminine. We need to have the patience and the discipline to surrender. And then the masculine is going to be forced into that spiritual instruction. And so the karmic tower is realigning us when it comes to our destiny. We can never force the masculine in a redirection, and we can never force the masculine into their higher purpose or this truth. But this to me says there is an ending to a false foundation, and there's going to be a redirection. So let's talk about the tarot spread, because the top row, we get the King of Coins, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. We get the Justice in reversed, Libra, and the Star in reversed, Aquarius energy. This is where the masculine has established a lot of material and structural security, but yet he's not spiritually and emotionally aligned with integrity, is how I read this, okay? And so there is a karmic imbalance here, is what the Justice in reversed is telling me. There's unfairness or this avoidance of truth. And this, I feel, signifies spiritual disillusionment, where maybe the masculine is losing faith or he's facing some type of existential crisis. This is dark night energy permeating the reading. And I do feel he might have a lot of external success, but it really isn't filling the void of that internal desolation. And so material comforts, material stability can never soothe spiritual misalignment. And so there is an internal reckoning here. The middle row, the 6 of Swords, the 10 of Swords, and the Magician. Lots of swords and mental energy here. And so I feel this is the departure from the old communication patterns, or possibly silence and withdrawal. And the 10 of Swords, this is massive betrayal energy. That's what this speaks of to me, right? And so I think betrayal energy that both the masculine and this karmic feminine have suffered. They both reciprocated betrayal energy towards one another. And I feel this is the masculine's capability to alchemize what he's put in his path for fate. And so oftentimes the silence of the masculine becomes the wound of the feminine. And so there's right action required here. There's truth. There's conscious communication. And so all of this avoidance on the masculine's part really has become the most massive betrayal, because the betrayal card is the central of the reading. And so when we go into transformation and we empower ourselves during a transformation, it does require us to speak honestly, to be truthful, and to be deliberate with our communication and our choices. The bottom row is telling me there's a major karmic collapse of an illusion here. There's mental conflict with the 5 of Swords. There is an emotionally controlling feminine energy here that uses guilt as leverage, or there's codependent attachment strategies here in the 10 of Cups reversed. I just feel there is an illusion of domestic fulfillment, and this is collapsing. And so I feel there's a feminine here that externally projects this guilt to create some type of emotional enmeshment to define this karmic dynamic. But I feel this karmic structure is breaking apart. That's what it feels like. And this fantasy is going to dissolve into reality. So let's talk about the bottom of the deck. The Palace of Cups upright. Look at that. The Ace of Cups in reverse. There we got it. We got that moon. We do have a full moon in Taurus coming out tomorrow. And we get this 9 of Swords to this 8 of Cups, to the 2 of Coins, the 6 of Cups. Oh my goodness. And we got this Ace of Swords. So there's truth. I do feel there is an emotional foundation here that at one time felt expansive. But I feel there's emotional depletion here. There's abandonment, I want to say, of self-love playing out here. And the moon reversed is really telling me this illusion is breaking apart. And the truth is going to rise, and there's going to be a need to walk away from a very emotionally dissatisfying situation here. And it does align with the upcoming full moon revelation cycle. And so there's emotional truth surfacing is what this is telling me. And there's a loveless dynamic here that really needs to be acknowledged and released. I feel this release is inevitable. So let's talk about the final closing messages with the Archangel Michael deck. And I picked that deck today because Archangel Michael is the archangel that works with the twins. And so it says, let go of fear now. Fear-based attachment, shame cycles, ego-driven protection patterns. All of this needs to be released. I feel there's divine intervention here in order to break a karmic loop, to reclaim back personal sovereignty. And I actually loved the bottom of the deck because let's face it, you created this situation and you have the power to change it. Accountability is always going to be the key, right? And so when we stay rooted in victim consciousness, then we can't transmute into empowered self-ownership or authorship. And so union energy requires responsibility, requires truth, requires self-honesty, and creation can only be redirected when we own our part in the story that we created. That's what it means to be responsible and accountable. And so liberation will only come through truth. It will never come through avoidance or escapism tendencies. And so there is a karmic illusion collapsing for sure with the 10 of Cups. There's going to be truth arriving. There could be a revelation. It's not going to be very comfortable. And I feel the masculine is going to be undergoing some type of ego death where the feminine is being called into surrender. And so right now I feel there is a purging of distortion in order to prepare for the birth of the authentic union frequency. And so purification by truth is what they want me to say. And so that's what I have for a message today. If you would like to go further with me with a personal one-on-one session, check out the description box below. There will be a link to my webpage, and don't forget to head on over to the membership and join in. Still time to join before Wednesday's class. I'd love to see you over there. Have a great day, everyone, and I will see you all again tomorrow.